Hi, we are JKwan, a new podcast of views from foreigners based in Japan, focusing on worldwide racial and systematic inequalities and disparities, language, music, the arts, and culture. Created by everyday people for everyday people.
All right. What's up? This is episode 6 of JKwan. We got Miss JJ here, and I'm here as well. Today we have Kwan. Got Jay and Kwan. JKwan. There you go. All right. So today we have a lot that we want to talk about, starting with the elections, the recent elections. We got talking about Kamala Harris and Stacey Abrams. We're gonna talk about. Okay, let's get into it. All right, cool. Let's start with the elections. All right. So I got a clip I want to share. Right.
What do you think about the election?
What do I think about the? Do you have a specific question? Just what I think?
What do you think on the whole, in general? What do you think?
Yeah. No. Like. I'll, I'm pretty sure. Like I have a similar sentiment as many, but just pure shock that the country was that divided. 74 million, 70 million. Like holy shit.
It's changed now.
Pardon?
I think it's 73 million for Trump and 80 or almost 80 million for Biden.
Okay, that's still pretty divided. Like yeah, evenly split. Yeah.
It's worrying. It's worrying. Yeah. Go ahead.
No. Okay. I'll. What else? Um. Just and also just the way with like Trump has talked about the elections and the election fraud. It just goes to show like he's also trying to discredit like this election system if it's not in his favor, just like the media, right? Saying, oh, it's fake media, oh, it's fraud elections, and same thing, same story again and again, right? He doesn't have any evidence, he doesn't have anything to back up his claims, and yet people buy into it, right? And if you look at like if you look at these like ridiculous interviews online with the Republicans, a lot of Republicans who are protesting, um, they they can't back it up either. They can't back it up either with anything.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably the biggest sentiment I have is just like that shock that many people. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Right. It's so I'm gonna my it's like a it's like a huge joke, and
Mm,
like I feel like I'm gonna wake up from this really bad dream. Well, it's like a
mm,
bad dream, but it's a comical dream at the same time.
mm.
Because right now, I mean, I'm sure that those 80 million or almost 80 million people are feeling some sort of embarrassment
Mm,
to what's happening now.
mm, mm,
Because it's like Trump is changing his reasons, right? Like, oh, it's this, and there's this, now it's this, and now it's like I'm going to go to the Supreme Court
mm,
to let me win. All right, and he sounds like a spoiled child stamping his feet because he didn't win. That's what it looks like. And then you've got these sheeps, because that's what I can call them. The people that support him. All right,
mm.
for me, the fact that they are not even looking at the 250 plus people that have died because of him, because
From
of
the protests? In the
yeah,
Okay.
from the COVID, right?
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Because of his poor,
Yeah.
um, uh, what's the word? His
Handling.
handling of it. Thank you. His poor handling
Yeah.
of it. So uh, it's scary in the sense that half of America, almost half of America, feels this way. Well, it's more than half of America. Yeah, feels this way, right? So it's and to everything that he's done, they still are prepared to follow him, regardless of what he's done.
And that in itself explains a lot about why things are the way they are and why it's difficult to change them. And what surprises me that he has black followers, and I don't know.
Ah, you're right. That'd be interesting to ask. Yeah, I mean, do you know, based on what you see, like, why do those black people often support Trump? What are the reasons?
I don't have an idea. I don't know. All I know is that um, I heard about is it Lil Wayne and 50
Hmm?
Cent? Lil Wayne and 50 Cent,
Okay.
and also Ice Cube. Ice
Our
Cube,
support. Wow, really?
Ice Cube got a lot of shit the other day. Right, but I really think that out of those three, Ice Cube meant well. I think for me, I believe that Ice Cube meant well, but he went about it the wrong way. He didn't consult the people he was representing. Right, he just went ahead and went straight to he did talk to both of the parties. One of them said wait, which was the Democrats said let's wait until after the election because there's no point if what if they didn't win, right? So I think that's what it was. And of course, I'm like him. I don't trust either of them. They both come from the same cloth, right? So I understand um, what he was doing, what he meant, but I think he handled it the wrong way, right? He should have let them know. He should have been more transparent about what he was doing, so that when the Republicans reported back that he met with him, because it didn't come from him, and this is why the people got mad,
So
right?
you're talking about Ice Cube right now, right?
Yeah, Ice Cube. Yeah.
Sorry, can you fill me in? I don't know this. I don't
So
know it.
Ice Cube is trying to build a program for
Okay.
a community that is going to be um um what's the word? It's going to be really for it. It's going to really help the Black community to survive and to to prosper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there are no programs like that, right? So he wanted to talk to both parties, right? And I think he approached both parties, or they approached him. That part I can't remember. So I'm allegedly he approached them, or they approached him, one of the two. And um, Trump's party was the one that said, "Yeah, we'll talk to you now," right? But he didn't. Ice Cube wasn't transparent about what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So the Trump party, I don't know whether it was his son or somebody in the party, had leaked, or it came out that Ice Cube met with them, and
Mm-hmm.
so it was like, see, this is for Black people. We always have a Judas in the pact, right?
Mm.
Like, from the Bible, the story.
Yeah.
We always
The
have a
one who rats out Jesus.
Well, yes, right. Who betrays us, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and I think and what Ice Cube should have really thought about was that. And Black people are distrusting of each other because of history, and it's unfortunate
Hmm.
that we are this way. And I think when this happened, that's why this backlash came,
Hmm.
right? But I looked at it in a way where I feel like he meant well, but he wasn't transparent, and he should have been transparent. I think had he been transparent, this would have been handled better by the community. And he has to
Mm-hmm.
understand why people. He has to try to understand why people are angry because they felt like he was, betraying them, right? But with 50 Cent and Lil Wayne, do you know about that? Because Lil Wayne endorsed Trump.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
Okay.
recently, allegedly endorsed Trump, and allegedly 50 Cent said he was going to support Trump because he
Hmm.
don't want to etc. etc. Everybody came for him, and now he's soon changed his mind.
Hmm.
Terrible, he completely changed, and him and Lil Wayne are supposed to be friends because they got into for saying bad things about what he did, and Lil Wayne just laughed. But anyway, and I thought they were friends. But he said that Lil Wayne got paid by Trump
Hmm.
to do this endorsement, right? And he said he was offered maybe $1 million. I could be wrong, allegedly $1 million by Trump. This is about 50 Cent said that he was offered $1 million. I saw him say it out of his mouth. I can't remember.
Okay.
The money might be wrong. The money part might be wrong, but he was offered someone, let's say some money by Trump to
Okay.
force him or to support him.
So it's always about money. Comes
Yeah,
down to money.
but that's
Uh,
well, Judas was about money too, right?
uh,
He was betrayal. But I mean, again, I'm saying Judas and that, but I don't believe in the Bible and stuff. But I'm just
mm, mm,
as an example.
mm. So let's watch the video, shall we?
Um, yeah, let's watch the video of this fiasco. I can't call the election a fiasco, but Trump is turning it into a fiasco,
Okay.
right? But we're gonna watch the best parts, right? Right now.
Okay.
And Jill for welcoming our family into theirs on this incredible journey. And to the woman most responsible for my presence here today, my mother, Kamala Harris, who is always in our hearts. When she came here from India at the age of 19, she maybe didn't quite imagine this moment, but she believed so deeply in an America where a moment like this is possible. And so I am thinking about her and about the generations of women, Black women, Asian, white, Latina, Native American women, who throughout our nation's history have paved the way for this moment tonight. Women who fought and sacrificed so much for equality and liberty and justice for all, including the Black women who are too often overlooked, but so often prove they are the backbone of our democracy. All the women who have worked to secure and protect the right to vote for over a century, 100 years ago with the 19th Amendment, 55 years ago with the Voting Rights Act, and now in 2020 with a new generation of women in our country who cast their ballots and continued the fight for their fundamental right to vote and be heard. Tonight I reflect on their struggle, their determination, and the strength of their vision to see what can be unburdened by what has been. And I stand on their shoulders. And what a testament it is to Joe's character that he had the audacity to break one of the most substantial barriers that exists in our country and select a woman as his vice president. But while I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last. Because every little girl watching tonight sees that this is a country of possibilities. And to the children of our country, regardless of your gender, our country has sent you a clear message. Dream with ambition, lead with conviction, and see yourselves in a way that others may not, simply because they've never seen it before. But know that we will applaud you every step of the way. And to the American people, no matter who you voted for, I will strive to be a vice president, like Joe was to President Obama, loyal, honest, and prepared, waking up every day thinking of you and your family. Because now is when the real work begins, the hard work, the necessary work, the good work, the essential work to save lives and beat this epidemic, to rebuild our economy so it works for working people, to root out systemic racism in our justice system and society, to combat the climate crisis, to unite our country and heal the soul of our nation. And the road ahead will not be easy, but America is ready. And so are Joe and I. We have elected a president who represents the best in us, a leader the world will respect and our children will look up to, a commander-in-chief who will respect our troops and keep our country safe, and a president for all Americans.
Yeah, no, that speech, I kind of felt something, while listening to that. It was so powerful, like it's like, I don't know, it made me want to be like, yeah, like I want to follow you, I want to stand by you, I want to work to like achieve that dream. And I don't know, it's something that like all her messages, how could any of that be something of like
She
of
seems
negativity? Huh?
sincere, right? She seems sincere. Everything
Yeah,
that
exactly. Like how is any of that divisive? How can someone like not stand for that, you know?
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
empowerment of women, like like the elimination of abolishment of like oppression, like who wouldn't want that? So it's just strange that like you didn't have more people supporting her.
Yeah, but who wouldn't want that? The people who want, it seems, the people who are comfortable in having this power and are comfortable with people struggling, dying, fighting for equality. They're just comfortable, right?
Mm-mm.
This is why, and that's what it's come down to, right?
For in terms in regards to Kamala Harris, like what's is there any one particular, I guess, something that she did in the past that you really admired or respected?
No, that she has got a kind of flawed past, and that
Hmm.
she, do you know her? This the I think it was the um because she was a governor of California or some
Oh, okay.
or some high lawyer. I don't know how it works out there, but um she had a part of the that prison scheme that a black men, if I'm right, I could be wrong, or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Black people didn't trust her and still don't because of that.
Sorry, what? One more time.
They were in prison because of her, because
Okay, okay.
of the bill that she had processed.
Ah, okay, okay.
So, and so was Joe Biden too. And he said, one of the things I did like about him, about what he said, I still don't trust any of them, was that he said he apologized and he said that we make mistakes, and that was
Okay.
that was big of him. That was big of him to say I made a mistake. Now we have to see how it really is, right?
Hmm. It's just funny how like it's like considered big, if a politician apologizes,
Yeah,
which
because
it shouldn't be the case. I think,
it shouldn't be the
Yeah.
case. I know, but it is the case because everybody expects them to be perfect, and everybody has
Right.
an expectation where they're better. That's why and it shouldn't. It shouldn't. That's why I've always believed that the people should be the rulers,
Mm,
and not the people in power. Well, actually, Joe Biden does come from a working class family,
mm.
right? But so I guess he could be, I don't know, but people change once they get into politics. The people change, right?
I'd be interested to see. This is just like a thought of mine, but just to see how, in the future, how technology can change the landscape of politics. When I feel like technology is giving people more and more power, um, and to share the voices and to make a difference. So it'd be interested to see how people can use technology in the future, in regards to like the political landscape, right? In terms of the like even like the legal system, like how people can like like you said, giving more people power to the people. I think maybe technology might um,
Yeah,
come into play.
but you have to understand what do you mean though? Because there are a lot of older people that have no knowledge of technology, right? So we have to look at
Yeah,
which is when we say equality, it's for everybody of all age, or groups, or sex, gender.
yeah,
We have to also, we can't always just focus on the technology. Maybe in the future, maybe yeah, but for right now, and even some people can't afford it. We have to look at stuff like that,
mm, mm,
right?
mm. But yeah, I mean, like for sure. These are just like ideas.
We're saying, yeah, but we also have to remember that there are people that have never ever put a finger on a computer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But one of the things that I like about her is when they go to what that court that they do with her. I'm not politically schooled on what they do when they grill these people from the Trump administration. And so I like how she does it. I like she's got a calm and she's just
Okay.
one thing I
Yeah.
do. Of course she's well versed. You know what I mean? I don't like to say she's what they say she's well spoken. I don't like that. I find it condescending for me. I don't like
Mm-hmm.
that. I just like that she knows what she comes prepared. She did her research.
Why do you think that's condescending? If you, because like even if you said like she comes prepared, for example, like why wouldn't you find that condescending?
Because well spoken means even though that we speak English, they still tell us it's not our language. That's how
Mm-hmm.
I see it, right? So they're still saying to when people say, "Oh, it's well spoken," so it's like I feel like the boy or the girl being tapped on the head for speaking good English for the masses, right?
Yeah.
So I feel that there is a history behind that. I think there is a history behind saying to someone who's who's not the default color. Pinkish, is it right? Um, I just
Okay.
think it's quite condescending because you're saying it's like we're trying to join you and be like you, and do you understand what I mean? So it's taking away our identity and who we
Okay.
and saying that we try. Oh, that's a good peasant. You know, you're trying. You know, you're talking like us. You sound almost like us. That's really good, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I hear when I hear it.
It kind of, for me, it makes me think of like an analogous like situation where how in Japan, where foreigners are often complimented on their Japanese. It's like, oh, Nihongo jozu desu ne. It's like even after saying like konnichiwa or arigato. I don't know.
Because
Okay.
because we weren't born there.
Mm,
Like, we live here
mm,
we moved here from a different country, so we've got our own language.
mm,
So for me, there's another comparison,
mm.
right? There isn't one because I'm born in England, and someone saying to me, you know, yeah, she's well spoken.
Mm-hmm.
I'm born in that country. What the hell do you mean?
Well, I mean, I could say, for example, Trump is not well spoken. He's
I
not very articulate.
sometimes I think that sometimes I think that I talked to Dave about this all the time. Like, we have this discussion, and I said I think that he speaks like this for the people who don't understand big words.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
All his followers are probably did high school, didn't graduate from high school.
Uh,
Isn't all of them, but a lot of them are. If you take a look at how they
yeah,
talk, he
yeah.
talks English for them to understand. There's nothing wrong with that. It didn't, and I don't know whether that's an act or whether he did that specifically on purpose to get people on side to think that
Sure.
our level, so he knows who we are, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's some foolery that or trickery that he's doing. So to make so I don't because Trump is a businessman and he's been a businessman for a long time. So
Yeah.
he's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve. So we have to remember that.
Yeah. You gotta speak their language. You gotta speak in a way in which they understand. Speak to
So
the masses.
yeah, he's using all these big words that people don't really comprehend.
Yeah.
Like I go to a doctor's surgery and the doctor's telling you all these things that you've never known, which the doctor knows he shouldn't be telling you that. He should be speaking in layman's terms, right? And you just go, yeah,
Mm.
this is stupid, right? And you're not going to understand. You just do whatever. Maybe will you go back to the doctor again? Maybe not. I don't know. But if you go into a doctor that explains to you, you're definitely going to go back. That explains to you what it means and go through it, which is their job, right? you're going to definitely go back because you want to understand what's wrong with you. And some people are too scared to ask a doctor what's wrong with them, right? If they're talking in so the either
Sure.
and not really have a, because there's nowhere else to go, or they find a doctor that can speak on their terms. So politics and how Trump is doing it, that's what Trump's doing. You've got like maybe Biden speaking a language that's higher level than the people who understand, and then Trump speaking at a level that the people, you know, the majority of those people can understand. So of course they're going to say he's for us, and they're going to believe in him and all this stuff. Right?
That's yeah, that's definitely something to look up in terms of like the statistics behind that, in terms of, you know, like Trump supporters, how the number you know, who have gone to higher education, like the education levels or whatnot. That's definitely something interesting to that I'm gonna look up. I wanna look at the Stacey Abrams video.
I was going to say we cannot not mention her. She has this. Well, let the video speak for itself.
Okay, cool. All right, let's do this. Ready?
Nobody had Joe Biden's back more than Stacey Abrams. I mean, she has been working to make sure that the Democratic Party is doing everything they can do in Georgia to turn it blue. Please welcome the founder of the voting rights organization Fair Fight, Stacey Abrams. Welcome back, Stacey Abrams. I know all those politicians, those Republican politicians in Georgia, wish now that they had just made you governor. Because you know, I'm sure they're just going, if we had just done that, none of this would be going on. When you heard that Georgia had gone for Joe, what went through your mind?
That I can wake up in November and be happy. We've had a few close calls, and we've tried really hard for the last decade, and this was a moment of just grace. We were so excited and so proud.
You know, Stacey, you're very familiar, we all know, with close elections in Georgia, okay?
Yeah.
Your own gubernatorial race in 2018 came down to just 55,000 votes. And right now, Biden leads by just over 14,000 votes. But the Secretary of State just announced that they're going to recount all of the ballots by hand, mind you, just like the Trump campaign requested. Aren't they accommodating? Georgia's never had to do a recount like this before. Are you confident that Biden's lead will hold up? And how long is this going to take exactly?
We don't know how long it's going to take, but we are absolutely certain that this lead is insurmountable. It is absolute, and Joe Biden won Georgia. The reality is they have the right to follow the law, and the law permits this type of behavior. And during my election in 2018, we fought through the courts to make sure every vote got counted. Sadly, they just want to do a recount of what we already accomplished, and I wish them well. But we know that Joe Biden is going to be not only the president of the United States, but the first president in 30 years from the Democratic Party to carry Georgia.
Yeah.
Without her, and like what did Whoopi say? Nobody had Joe's back.
So hold on, let me get this straight. So Stacey Abrams, she runs the elections in Georgia?
In 2018, she tried to get in, and she didn't win, unfortunately.
Okay.
Because what happens with the black people, the black community in America, is that they don't get to vote, and they don't believe in this. There's many reasons why they don't do it, and some is also because of what the Republicans do as well. They lock them out, right? In a really sneaky way, but not illegal, right? So, but Stacey Abrams went out. She went out. She got out. She just went out there and talked to the people and got them out there, especially the young people the children born in the 20th century children, 21st century kids. She got them. Everyone else, but she did focus on them. because a lot of them don't vote because they don't believe the system works, and it's understandable, right? But she did a hell of a lot of work, and said 30 years. He's going to win Georgia. Well, he did win actually. They did recount him the other day. He won.
Okay. So this was kind of a little bit old, and they did the recount already. And
yeah, Biden won Georgia.
Was there any discrepancies the second time between first and second count?
I don't remember. I think that he wanted it counted again. I think that I heard that he wanted it counted again, but now he's going to Supreme Court to get the judges for the actually not the Supreme Court. He's going to the what is it now? I always forget this because they got the people's vote, and you've got the college, the thingy college,
Congress.
The what?
Is it Congress?
No.
Federal.
So he had to win. So in order for Biden to win, it wasn't just by the majority. That he had to win by the state, and it's called something what's it called?
Electoral
College. Yes.
Okay.
So he wants to go there.
Mm.
Majority of them are Republicans, right? To get them to side with him and change the vote to him winning.
But yeah, we all know that's not going to happen.
We don't know because I mean, look Republicans have just sat back. A lot of them have just sat back and let him do whatever he wants to do. And I've always said that he's going to be the fall guy because he's doing things that they want to do, but they don't have the balls to do it. Right. So that's what is that he's their dream because he doesn't care about what he does. He just thinks it, right?
Yeah.
Giving me second thought about who's going to get her because Trump seems like a very selfish person, right? And his family, they seem like everything's about them, and money. So and the Republicans seem it's what they would love to do if they had the balls to do it.
Yeah, he's very reactive. Like you said, he just reacts without thinking, right? So, because he started making those claims, like before, before the outcome of the election.
He also said he wasn't gonna, he wasn't gonna hand the keys to the White House over, right?
Yeah.
But the supporters are still following because he already planned this.
Yeah. It makes me think, like there's just some different there's a different mindset, like where, there's people who really, it's important for them to hold people accountable for their words. And then there's other people who don't care, like all the countless lies that Trump has told. Like, I'm pretty sure people, they think of a way to, to explain that, to justify his lies. It's like, oh, right? And
I don't want to talk about Trump. I mean, I want to
yeah.
black women. I want to talk about Kamala. That's what this part was for. I don't want to really talk about Kamala.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the happy moments for me, where black women were mentioned and keep getting mentioned. Even Joe Biden said thank you, right? Because they were a special part of it. I'm not American, but I feel that it's just sisterhood for me, and I'm part of that. And without the black women's support, was it 98%? I think of black. I could be wrong, but I can't remember. It's in the 90s anyway. That's the support that we got, right, from black women, and that's why they're thanking them. If you look at white women, you see the complete difference that they supported Trump, right? With all those babies dying in the cells, the immigrants that came over, and I don't understand, right? I'm not even talking about the people that died from the COVID, but all those babies and parents that died in the cells of the ICE people that put them in.
Just watching the Stacey Abrams video, I don't, like I said, I didn't know too much about her. I didn't know her at all before watching the video, but just hearing what you're saying about her is like she went out and she talked to people and she went to communities and people and she so it's just a really great story about like someone engaging.
Yeah, yeah. And so I want to big her up, and I mean, I hope that we have people watching the video so that if they don't know who she is, they know now, right?
Yeah.
Um, I just think that's really important to mention. She's really important to mention because she played a pivotal part in this election.
Mm.
You know?
And I think it's just like it's important what we're doing in terms of just like giving her credit and like showing her to the world and like highlighting her and like it's important to because these other if it wasn't for this or what we're doing or like this news broadcast and like the people who are doing the amazing work like Stacey they're in the in the background in the backstage they never get that recognition or that spotlight. Yeah.
People outside of America know her. I mean, some people do, but I don't think. And if you're black, because right? And I said to you, and she needs to be mentioned. And so I'm glad that we're doing this podcast. And
Yeah.
we don't have a big following, that's fine. But even if it's just one person, one more person that we're giving knowledge to about what she's done.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, the election is it is what it is. You know, I can't say it's trying to go through his election, right? And I don't want to talk about him because he's wasted breath. He's an embarrassment of a human being, and I just don't understand why he's doing what he's doing. And his followers, sheeps. I would like to talk about the Breonna Taylor situation.
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, I can't believe that they've only arrested one man and the other men have gotten off.
What's the latest on this? Like the other ones got let off on bail?
No, they weren't even on bail. They haven't been charged.
And that's it? That the case is closed, or are they waiting for?
I'm not completely sure, but to my knowledge, yeah. Only the one guy that shut up the place was really about her, and he's just also got charged with, I think it's rape or assault.
Oh, really? From previous stuff? This is a guy with the knee who was knee who had his knee.
That's an arrest. That's been arrested.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Right, but there's a guy that was interviewed by, I forget the black guy's name, and the interview. I want you to watch the interview and tell me what you think about it.
All right.
I did, George. Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly, he was one of the officers who burst through the door of Breonna Taylor's apartment on that fateful night in March when she was with her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker. Mattingly was shot and badly wounded, and this is the first time he is speaking publicly. Her death sparked nationwide outrage and anguish. 26-year-old medical worker Breonna Taylor shot and killed by Louisville police officers shortly after midnight on March 13th while executing a search warrant. Officers investigating a suspected drug operation allegedly linked to her ex-boyfriend. This morning, for the first time, Sergeant John Mattingly sharing publicly what he says happened that night.
So we get up. I remember banging on the door. It's open hand, hard smacks, bam, 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 bam. First time didn't announce. Just hoping she would come to the door so everything was quiet, neighbors wouldn't come out.
Can you hear anything from inside the apartment?
Not at that point. Okay. Not at that point. So after the first bang, nothing happened. I banged again. I yelled, "Please search warrant, please search warrant." You're yelling this.
How many times do you yell that?
Probably 3 times each with each bang. There was a total of 6 bangs, 6 different knocks at the door while we're doing this.
There were 7 officers on the scene that night. One said he thought he heard movement inside the apartment.
He said, "Stop, I can hear somebody coming up to the door." So we stop, we listen, nobody says anything. We yell again, "Please search warrant, open the door if you're there, please search warrant." And finally I looked back at my lieutenant who's in the stack back here, and he goes, go ahead and hit it.
Even as you're hitting the door with
Yelling,
the brand,
"Please
you're
search."
yelling.
Yes, everybody at this point.
Everybody.
Because that's what we do.
All 7 of you.
All 7 that I know of. It sounded like it. That's the typical. That's the typical how it goes every time, and that doesn't change.
Kenneth Walker said that he and Breonna were screaming. Who is it? Said they never heard any announcement that it was the police. And what do you say to that?
Maybe he didn't.
But there are also 11 neighbors who said the same thing that he said.
Those 11 neighbors also said we didn't knock. Kenneth Walker says we knocked. The other witness says we knocked. So if you didn't hear us knock, you're not going to hear us announce.
Mattingly says once the team enters the dark apartment, he sees 2 figures in the hallway. How far away from you?
About 20, 25 feet, probably, 20, 25 feet. And as soon as I turned the corner, my eyes went straight to the barrel of this gun. I could see the tip of it, and my eyes just focused in on it.
Breonna's boyfriend, 27-year-old Kenneth Walker, a legal gun owner, fired a shot, later telling investigators he fired because he didn't know who was bursting through the door. An FBI ballistics report saying it was Walker's bullet that struck Mattingly.
As soon as I felt the smack on my leg and the heat, I boom, 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 returned 4 shots. From start to finish, from the time I got shot till the time I'm on the ground and heard that last volley of shots, 12 seconds total.
I don't know what's happening. Somebody kicked in the door and shot my girlfriend.
Where was she shot at?
I don't know. She's on the grill right now. I don't know. Help! Oh my God! Yes, help!
What's your name, sir?
Mr. Walker said, I just fired a warning shot. I thought someone was breaking into my apartment. I was aiming down because I don't want to kill anyone. That was his statement.
He wasn't shooting at the ground, a warning shot. He's pushed out with 2 hands, looking straight at me. I saw his gun. Our postures were the same, looking at each other when he fired that shot.
Only one officer was wearing a body camera during the execution of the warrant that night, but it wasn't turned on because Mattingly said it wasn't police procedure in these types of situations. Do you believe if you had body cameras, this wouldn't have happened?
No, the incident would have still happened, but it would have been shown on camera what happened. This wouldn't even be an issue. This wouldn't be a case. You'd never hear about it. Michael Strahan would never know about this case if we had cameras on that night.
How would you have done it differently if you could have?
We would have either served the no-knock warrant or we would have done the normal thing we do, which is 5 to 10 seconds, to not give people time to formulate a plan, not give people time to get their senses so they have an idea of what they're doing. Because if that had happened, I'm telling you, Mike, if that had happened, Breonna Taylor would be alive.
You believe she'd be alive
100%.
if that had happened?
If
you had just stormed in?
Yes.
And not given them time?
I do.
Say her name!
In the months following, protests erupting across the country. Celebrities like Oprah and Beyonce calling for the officers involved to be arrested and be criminally charged with Breonna's death. What was your feelings watching all that unfold after this?
Mostly frustration. And the frustration came from our command and from the mayor's office because there was so much disinformation out. Because this is not relatable to a George Floyd. There's nothing like it. It's not an Ahmaud Arbery. It's nothing like it. These are 2 totally different type incidences. It's not a race thing like people want to try to make it to be. This is a point where we were doing our job. We gave too much time. When we go in, I get shot, we return fire. This is not us going hunting somebody down. This is not kneeling on a neck. This is nothing like that. And I know I'm not going to sit here and act like playing the big victim card. But I mean, I was a victim in this as well. My family has been a victim in this. They have had to go in hiding. They have had death threats. When somebody sits back from their mansion and accuses somebody they don't know of being a racist and being a dirty cop and being a murderer, when that's not the case, that does affect you.
You were called racist. Are you racist?
No, not at all.
Do you think there is a racist divide between the community and the LMPD?
I think there are people who stir things up and make it more of that, because when you're dealing with criminal element, you talk about racial profiling. Good police, anyway, police I've worked with don't racial profile. You criminal profile. Let's address the fact that just because you're black, you're a threat. It's not the case. I'm not scared of you.
Well, that's how black men feel. That's how black women feel.
But does that make it real?
If it's how you feel, then it's real.
No, not necessarily.
What is the difference between criminal profiling and racial profiling?
Criminal profiling is when you get to know an area, okay? When you work in an area long enough, you can tell by people's demeanors. If you pull up beside somebody and they don't make eye contact, they swerve off, there's just different elements of people's psychological game that they put out that you can tell when you've done something long enough.
So basically, it's a feeling.
Not just a feeling. I mean, it's a feeling that goes along with what you've experienced, with what is in the area, what should or shouldn't be. You look at a George Floyd, what happened to him is tragic. It was horrible. Everybody looked at that and said, wrong, bad, disgusting. And what happens? They end up getting locked up, which in my opinion, and I don't know the ins and outs of the case, and I'm very careful now to judge other people for Monday morning quarterbacking, but in my opinion, that was the right call, whether he died of an overdose or whatever. But what happened after that, in my opinion, George Floyd was not a model citizen.
It's very hard for me to sit here George Floyd died of an open overdose. He died because someone was kneeling on his neck for minutes.
And I agree with that.
In regards of him being a model citizen or not, he didn't deserve that. No one deserved that.
Nobody said he did.
So
I just demonized it. I said it's horrible.
No one has been charged in connection with Taylor's death. An autopsy confirmed she died of multiple gunshot wounds. One officer in the case, Brett Hankinson, has been charged with 3 counts of wanton endangerment for endangering neighbors when he opened fire. He's pled not guilty. And if Breonna's mother, Tamika Palmer, is watching this, is there anything that you would like to say to her?
I want to hear this one.
Ms. Palmer, nobody should ever have to go through what you're feeling. Nobody can sympathize or feel what you're feeling unless they've lost a child. There's no way I could ever.
First, I want to see what you think about it.
Okay, let's go back. I mean, he said a lot, so let's let me just try to remember what he was saying. You know, he was saying, okay, one thing that he mentioned was he thinks that, you know, she would still be alive, Breonna Taylor would still be alive if they just charged in. Which I still think is ridiculous. You know, like, I mean, I'm not a police officer. I don't know how, like, you know, like crime investigation works, but like just that alone is kind of like ridiculous that you can just charge in and create all this chaos and not expect that there's going to be like some casualty and some like repercussion from the other person's behavior. And, you know, like self-defense totally is absolutely reasonable in these kind of situations where, you know, what's the boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, right? Like even if they rushed in, you know, he still could have been in like a room or somewhere where he did have a gun by him, and he could have still acted in self-defense, you know, and the same thing still could have played out. Another thing that, you know, he mentioned was, hold on, 1 second. Yeah, he mentioned about criminal and racial profiling, like the difference between that. You know, that's the thing. It's like, you know, how he was describing criminal profiling, you know, he's using these terms like it's one's psychological game, their demeanor, how they act. Well, that's, you know, like that could be racial profiling, right? Like when you're judging someone's demeanor, when you're looking at how someone acts, you know, you essentially kind of just like make judgments, snap unconscious judgments about that person's behavior. And, you know, like if you're a racist, you know, you're gonna associate, you know, the people that you think are criminals,
What do you think about,
you know, and race.
What do you think about his body language when he was asked if he was a racist? I looked deeply into his body language when they asked him if he was a racist.
Sorry, I didn't hear that one more time.
What do you think about his body language when he was asked if he was a racist or not? Did you look at his body language? His eyes?
Yeah. Hold on. I can't find the part, but I don't know, like, what do you mean? Like, what do I think of his body language?
Yeah. Do you remember what he to you? What did it?
It's I guess like the word like smug came out. He had a grin as well, you know, like.
See, I took some notes, and he's talking about. This is the same old way that white people act when they're defending themselves.
Mm.
And what you said, I'm probably just going to hit on the points that you hit on as well. Well, they're saying that they were calling the man, and they were saying, da, 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 and I don't believe that for 1 minute, right?
The knocking.
They
what?
were saying, no, they were saying police.
Yeah.
They were, and I don't believe that. I don't know whether they knocked or not, but he said that Kenneth heard them knock. I don't know about that. He's trying to justify himself. And he's saying, I looked at the gun. Yeah, because you're in somebody's house. Well, you're an intruder. Right, this is what he's not looking. He's an intruder in someone else's house who's got a gun to protect themselves. So what they're going to do is, whether we're pointing it up or down, whether we aim to kill or not, it doesn't matter. He's protecting himself because there's people bursting into his house. All right, so he's trying to make
exactly
the victim the what's the word? I'm sorry today. So
perpetrator,
right? He's trying to twist it into turning, right?
You're talking about like the part when they go in, when he entered the apartment, right? Yeah. And then they're pointing at each other. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Pointing at each other so that he saw the barrel of the gun, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what are you complaining for? You enter in somebody's house, they don't know who you are.
Exactly.
Right? So I don't understand. So he's trying to make
criminalize it.
Yeah. And make it look like he's the good guy and the guy was the bad guy, right?
Exactly.
But you're in someone else's.
I know. Yeah. Exactly.
It's a white thing that they do, right? He's acting like he's the victim.
That's such a good point. Exactly.
When we talked about there being body cameras, there should have been body cameras.
Yeah, exactly. Why weren't there body cameras?
Maybe Breonna Taylor would have been alive if there were body cameras. That's what we need to talk about. He's trying to blame. He's saying if they just burst in, no, had you body cameras, you acted a different way. So he's trying to again steal the show. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Do you know if there is a reason for why they didn't have body cameras?
He was saying something like they don't do it on this kind of.
On these kind of.
I don't see why not. I think this is the best time to have. Yeah. You can shoot anybody and say so it doesn't make any sense. That it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there should always be body cams.
And he says it's not right because people who stir things up, and that's a racial. For me, that's a racial term. People who stir things up, right? Just because because they're black, we stir things up, and that's what they say about us. Listen to the words that he's saying, right? Listen to the words, because he's a white man, and they always try to make themselves look innocent, right? And the victim, right?
Yeah.
The words that he was saying, and he's saying that people try to stir things up. What do you mean people try to stir things up? No, when you do stuff, things happen, right? That's what happens as a consequence of your action, right? So it ain't no people trying to. You murdered a black woman that was sleeping innocently in her bed.
Yeah.
And you shot her, right?
He fails to see that like they are the instigators.
He has no empathy. I don't know. I should have maybe showed that part where he was. It wasn't point. He has no empathy.
Yeah.
And empathy is something that you can't pretend that you got.
Yeah.
Right? He has no empathy.
Yeah. When he was giving the message, his final message at the end, it just felt empty.
Yeah. There's no empathy. The criminal profile thing. The thing is, he's trying again. When I say to you, when you can't tell us what is racial or not, because it's happening to us, and it's happening to us more time than it's happening to you. It's very rare that happens to you. So what do you know that we don't know? And it's absolutely nothing, right? We are the number one owners of being criminalized and having been racially attacked and racially profiled, right? So how are you telling us anything? And that's another thing where they think that where white people think that they because they feel that they are, they're on top of the world. They're the number one race or humans on this planet, that they know everything and they can do everything, and they can tell us how we're supposed to feel. And that goes on to the other part where the guy said, well, isn't that a feeling, right? When he's talking about racial property, yeah, and it is their feeling, and that's what it, and he couldn't talk. It didn't make sense. So it's quite annoying. And what is even more annoying is that this policeman has filed a case against
Right. Yeah.
Walker for shooting him. But you enter the man's house. So what does that say about this man? The man's woman was murdered, and you want to file a case against him? Doesn't that say exactly who that man is?
Yeah.
Okay, say this is the case, and all this really was true, and all this happened in this way, and the man didn't hear you, came in his house, he shot you, right? Wouldn't you be like going, I understand. He lost his woman. Would you be filing a case against him? If you had empathy, if you had heart, if you cared, if you weren't racist, if you felt that these people were human? You know what I'm saying?
I want to go back to that point when when you're talking about how, like, when they were talking about like fear, right? Like the fear that Black people are feeling and experience, that's real. But he said something about like how doesn't make it true just because.
Yeah. Again, he's trying to dictate an experiences that he's never been privy to. A thing where we talked, we're going to talk about next month, where I have a problem with white people where they think they have a seat at our table when they're not being privy to any of the things that we've experienced. You can't come to us and tell us about race or racial things, the things that what's happened to us, because you've never experienced it. So why do you think? So he was doing exactly the same thing. That's what we're doing.
And it's this brings me to that point where, like, he's saying that well, it's not a race thing, right? Remember how he was comparing it to the Aubrey case?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It is a race thing, and the thing is, they're always saying it's a race, but you don't have that power to say that. You don't have that experience to say that, because you are the ones that are doing it. You're always the ones that are doing it, or influencing other people from different ethnicities to do it. How do you think that you have that power to, or that knowledge, or that experience of what we experience from no racism? Because when you do something to somebody, you're not caring about how they feel. You're not knowing about how they feel. So how do you know? And talking about George Floyd, did you hear what he said? He wasn't a model.
He was a model citizen, right? Oh my God.
How was that? If I was interviewing him, I would have just ripped him up to shreds, because that is another thing that they say, right?
They always they bring up the past. They bring up other irrelevant stuff. Yeah.
And the thing is, he just shot himself in the foot. All these things, he couldn't keep his racist emotion at bay. Right? The brutal murder of George Floyd. And the thing is, because of what he did in the past, how could you bring up that after the brutal murder?
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
That tells you who this man is, right? He wasn't prepared for that interview. He wasn't prepared, because if you haven't even got to be intelligent to see who that snake is.
What if you could have interviewed him what would you have asked? What would you have done differently? What would you say?
Same questions as the interviewer, but my reactions to his answers would be completely different. Like what I was saying, why do you think that you can talk on an experience that you have no knowledge of? That's the things I would say. I can't feel any empathy from you. I can't see it. I would do this. What I would say. I probably do my job, but that's what I would say. But that's what interviews supposed to do. Be real hardcore, right? And I want to, after this, because I don't know if any of them know Dick Gregory. He's a comedian. So Dick Gregory. I think that this is I was watching his video. It's an old video, but I was watching it the other day, and I think that you could follow this interview with the policeman that shot one of the policemen that shot Breonna Taylor. I believe that this Dick Gregory.
Okay. Yeah, this is a good segue then. Yeah.
Of what could happen to the police.
Right. Okay.
Do you hate me, motherfucker, more than you love your children? Huh? Give them something to lose. So now how you gonna reform a cop?
Make it big?
You white. You the prosecutor. You got to get elected. Huh? That county you live in, ain't no black folks in that county. So here's a white cop shoot 12 black folks dead. You think you gonna prosecute them? With them ignorant white folks that got to vote for you every 4 years, and you buying a house, gonna send your children to college, you got to pay insurance. You can't change that till you understand that and change that. How many black folks go to jobs that's dangerous, but they can't stop? They can't stop, they got to keep going. Now, how do you make a cop change? Simple. You pass legislation and say every cop have to be insured. Everybody carry a gun, have to be insured. The first time you violate that, you lose your license. If you're a cab driver, you can't drive your cab, you ain't got no license. Now, do you hate niggas more than you like feeding your family? Then your behavior changes. Make you like me, make you have to be careful about the people you do like. And every cop, their children should go to school for free. Because you got to give them something that they can't afford to lose. It's that simple. You drive down the street, you get 5 moving tickets, you lose your license. That's what make you stop at that stop sign.
But they don't. The system doesn't want to punish cops.
I didn't say that. I didn't ask you the question. I didn't say, did they? I said, here's how you do it. You telling me they don't want, huh? You have to tell me they don't want to punish cops like I don't know that. Before your ass was born, I knew that. I said, give them something to lose. Do you hate me, motherfucker, more than you love your children? Huh? How many times have you stopped when you was in a hurry? Because you didn't want a ticket, because one more ticket you can't. Huh? So, I don't want to hear this ignorant shit you talking. You got to take it to another level. Huh? All of us have tried that. All of us have behaved so we get a birthday present from our mom and dad. Huh? That's a no-brainer. Soldiers. Why you fucking think soldiers come in and listen in training? Because if they don't, there's a punishment. Huh? It's that simple. That's all I'm saying. Let's do it. Okay? Let's do it. That's simple.
All right.
I want to say,
Yeah.
Late Dick Gregory was a civil rights activist and a comedian. But I like him because he doesn't mince his words. He says what he's saying, right? And that was a young guy talking to an elder, and he weren't playing, right? Right? Yeah, he wasn't. He's like, and this what he's saying to me is logical. It's very simple and it's logical. Give them a lot of benefits that they can lose.
And make sure that they lose it. Yeah. Yeah, it's right now.
Go ahead. Defunding the police, I was for it, but what he said makes more sense. On top of making sure that you're employing the background and all that stuff, and never be employing policemen that have been fired, right? Because that's what's happening. They go to a different county and a different state or whatever, and they get.
Okay. See, I didn't think about, or like I didn't know that. It's like, yeah, they could just move and be like, hey, go to another state, whatever. Keep being a cop. Yeah, this goes back to accountability. Like
Accountability, absolutely. But it goes for accountability, and the thing is, right?
Yeah.
In place, do you think Breonna Taylor, with all those people that have been, all those black people, those black humans that were murdered, do you think that this would have happened? No, because they've got a lot to lose.
Exactly. And like if you know that, like if let's go back to the Breonna Taylor's case, right? It's like, what message does it send to like other cops? Now they know it's like, oh wow, like I'm pretty good, I'm pretty sick. I can like raid into someone's house, I can knock down someone's door, shoot it all up, like kill someone or one or two people, and like at the end of the day I can like keep my job. Because like you said, like in the Breonna Taylor case, no one's charged for murder, so for Dick Gregory, it's like that punishment is, none of them are getting any of that punishment that Dick Gregory is talking about.
Right.
And also like, yeah, it's just crazy, that like that these cops, they get a slap on the wrist, they're put on administrative leave.
It should be when I say universal, because Japan, I don't have any problem with the cops here. I don't. Then I don't know. I say that in America, Canada, all those, Brazil, all these where they just beat up this thing.
Oh yeah.
Okay, this thing should be in place. It should be in place.
What's it called in terms of like how he makes that like analogy with driving license. If you get like 5 tickets, then you get obviously your license revoked. I'm wondering, like, do you have in mind like a number? It's like, oh, one time, like
it's like you can't come back. When you drink drive, what happens? You don't get a chance to do it again. And that's what he said. He said the taxi man messed up on his you don't get a chance to do it again.
That's all. Yeah.
So one time, you mess up one time, and you take a life one time. If it's as a minor thing, like fucking up a human, when you're disrespecting a human life, regardless whether they live or die, if you're disrespecting a human life, out. That's it, and that's what it should be about.
Yeah. Especially the position that you're holding in society as a police officer, the power and authority that you're holding in society. There's so much more, accountability that that's placed on you. So you have to uphold those standards. So that's I totally agree. That one time is you fuck up once, you're out. That's it. It's like because that there shouldn't be any like those kind of hidden character flaws in you.
Someone's life at risk. That's what it should be.
Exactly.
and not paid attention to the equal rights or human rights.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That's what should be important, whether they're a criminal or not. If your life is threatened by the head, where you know, I get that, right? But when you're just killing people, when you kill someone that's unarmed, how many black men have they killed that's been unarmed, and they've got away with it? Right? And there's this, but in order to get it passed, we've got to change the system. We were talking about this before, right? The system we need to get those people in the system out. In the UK, in France, in Germany, in America, in Canada, we need to get all those people in the system out because of racism.
I think like, you know, one of the issues, one of the barriers I think with like Dick Gregory, like that's I guess like the barriers to like achieving Dick Gregory's, you know, vision of a proper legal system holding cops accountable is that like these investigations that follow from these like horrible cases against these cops, they're always on the side of the cops. You know, they're not. I feel like they're not powerful enough to incriminate cops. You know, like cops always get away with what they do, right? So, for example, look at the guy in Breonna Taylor's case, or look at Breonna Taylor's case. None of the cops got charged, right? All of their stories could be lies.
Yeah, one of them did, but didn't. It wasn't his for endangering other people's life, and that what does that just speaks volumes. He got for endangering other people's life, but not for murdering a black woman. Malcolm X said this in the 60s, that women are the most disrespected humans on this earth. And that's what he did in front of another black man, was disrespect Breonna Taylor and her family. Because he believes that he can do whatever he wants because he's a white man.
He was the one that fired the shots, right? That killed.
There's two of them, him and another guy.
Okay, but okay, well, it's either him or the other guy, but both of them aren't charged with killing anyone. You know what I mean? So it's just like, what did her life mean to them? It's like, oh,
we don't even know whose bullets did what. Not to my knowledge, I don't know what. I'm saying both of them because they're both fired.
Yeah. And it's these kind of like, yes, it's these kind of flaws in the system that allows for like, that like, what's it called, that passes this kind of uncertainty, you know, and lets it go, lets it pass, and be like, oh, we don't know who shot, so neither of them are guilty, and we'll just let, you know, it's.
Got the bullet at the body, then you'll know who did it, right? And regardless, they all went in there guns blazing, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They went in there with the intent to kill. Right.
Or disregard. Yeah, they've already like their intention, like even before, you know, they're already disregarding the safety and.
The reason I didn't talk first because I didn't want to influence you. Because actually you watch it and see what you take your take on it, right? Because I don't want to influence you, and I know that you're not, you can't be influenced, but I still don't want to. I do that first because I want to see your take on it first before I say anything.
In terms of the Dick Gregory or the whole thing, or.
With the policeman, right? The interview.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you said, he doesn't show any empathy or sympathy or regret for any of his actions. You know, like you can tell if your actions led to like someone's death and murder, I would be like in a much different state. I wouldn't be able to give that interview without, you know, like showing my, you know, my regret and just remorse for my actions. You know, he was completely in such, he just felt, you could see like he felt safe, he felt innocent, like, you know, he didn't feel any kind of like regret for his actions.
No empathy at all. There's nothing. he felt entitled. And the thing is, I'm not shocked about it because it's what we've been getting for my entire life on this planet, right? So it doesn't matter what country I'm in. That's how a lot of them behave. And on that note,
yeah,
you talk about hidden colors and maybe the 11. I think we're going to skip the Sainsbury's thing. We'll talk about that next time. I think that follows suit in what we're talking about. You know what I mean? Don't you think? The Sainsbury's one we can do next time.
Hidden colors?
Yeah, I think you should.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so just for people watching, I mean, Hidden Colors is like a 5-film documentary, right? And it's taking a look at a bunch of issues. Hold on, so let me pull it up. The first one was talking about Black culture. Pardon?
It's looking at the history of our ancestors, right? And that's when I told you about Akabulan, right? And that's
Akabulan culture.
So
yeah, so
it tells you about that. I teach this in Japan. So I mentioned Kwan about it would be a good idea for you to take a look at this. What are your impressions?
So
half of it one, right? So what were your impressions?
So I only watched the first one, and it was just actually incredible to see so many things that came from Akabulan culture, and like everything from architecture to music to art and language.
That part, medicine.
Pardon? Medicine. Okay, yeah. And it's just amazing that like these are all things that you don't hear in history if you take a history class, right? If you look at European culture history, they don't mention,
So I went to school. We never talked about it. We never talked about slavery. We never talked about anything like that. Nothing. Nothing at all. Even in Jamaica, there was we had Queen Nanny of the Maroons. We've got Sam Sharp. We've also got, which was she's a mixed nurse. And the part black and part white, born in Jamaica, and Mary C. Cole. And she was around, but you hear about Florence Nightingale, but she was around when Florence Nightingale was around, and she looked after the men in the Crimean War. And I taught my kids.
Okay.
In England, they've actually put up a statue of her because it was.
Oh wow.
But
I
didn't learn about her at all when I was at school.
Okay.
I had to find out for myself.
There were some really cool things that actually were like really cool to learn about. I can't remember the name, but they're talking about how martial arts also came from like Akabulan culture. Like how, whoa, hold on.
Was that earthquake?
Yeah.
What? It's still shaking. I can see it moving.
Do you feel it?
Oh.
Okay, maybe, yeah. It's still shaking. It's light, but yeah, it's just light. It's probably one of the biggest ones I've ever felt, but it's not that bad.
It's still shaking?
Still shaking.
Wow.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it's done. I think it's done. But what I was saying before was like, yeah, it's so cool. Like they look at like they were talking about how this guy he traveled from Akabulan through India, and then what he did was like he observed the movements of animals. Okay, so that was really cool. And then like he turned that into a martial art, which makes sense because like Chinese like martial arts is like so well known about like for using animal movements in their martial arts. But actually, you know, like the root of that is it goes back to Akabulan, right? Which is kind of like, yeah, it is. It just makes me like feel like it's just such a shame that like it's, you know, like recognition's not given or known, you know. And like I know how that. I mean, like for me as like a sorry,
Did you see the in Egypt, the art in Egypt and stuff where they broke their nose off to make it not look black, so you wouldn't know? Did you see the Buddha? They show you the Buddha and the Buddha's head.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't.
Okay, you go
Uh
ahead.
uh uh.
There's, and
Yeah.
they did all of this to hide the truth about India.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you something, like, too. You never have to walk out your house, no matter where you are, in what country you are, and feel less than. And that's how I've always felt, was less than. Because that's how they groomed us, right? From my mother's schooling to my schooling to my nephew's schooling, we've been groomed to feel less than. And that's intentional. It's not a mistake, it's intentional. It's to make us feel less than.
Yeah, absolutely no way taking away from that, but just like sharing my experience as well. But like, you know, growing up in Canada, or like Toronto specifically, you know, like even though Toronto is, you know, like one of the most diverse cities in the world, I never felt represented as well as like an Asian guy. Like I was always into music, so like, but like the music, all the musicians around me, all the artists, all the actors, people that you see on TV, the films, you know, they were so, you know, so often white, right? So I, you know, like I never had a role model, an Asian role model growing up. You know, if I was to think like, oh, like, you know, like Canadian musician, Canadian artist, Canadian actors, like, you know, an Asian musician doesn't come to mind, an Asian actor doesn't come to mind, you know. But there are plenty of superbly talented, you know, Asian people in Canada.
You know that America had all these, like, because I believe that Americans are luckier than we are, because in America they had all the, you know, in the 70s.
We, as in like in the UK?
Yeah.
Okay.
They had all these black sitcoms and stuff, and so many of them, right? We never had it, and we didn't come to it until they never even came. Like the Cosbys, we never had the Cosbys until, I want to say, late early 90s, right? Probably, or could it be late 90s, early, you know, it could have been late 80s, early 90s, or something like that, right? We never, till real late, real late, right? And then
Crosby, Bill Crosby?
Yeah, the Cosby. Yeah.
Okay. Crosby show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the show to us was like, you got like a gynecologist, and there's like, a lawyer, you got a kid, they go to college, they live in a nice house, right? But we never had anything like that for us. All right, I'm not saying that you know, that they also had, like, you know, the black exploitation, where they had, like, you know, the woman being the, you know, the whore, or the you know, the prostitute, or something like that, right? But
I never watched the Crosby show, so actually I don't know too much.
I still watch it. I love it.
Okay. There's interesting.
A different world, which was taken from there. The different when one of the Cosby girls went to university, and that was when I for quite a long time too. Different world. There's a real, they're uplifting.
Okay, yeah, I see them now. Interesting. Cool. Wow, 8 seasons. Wow. Went on for 6 years. 6-7 years. Cool. It's a whole, yeah, cool. It's like a whole. Well, I see like one. No, never mind. Cool.
Yeah, it wasn't until I was older, like in my 20s, that we had some, you know, like Will McCoy, which is a comedy, which is awesome, right? Related to us, right? Well, we had this thing called Mixed Blessing, but it was all racial, right? It was all you know, a black girl marrying a white guy, and the parents didn't like it, kind of thing. You know, and it was supposed to be a job, a black neighbor, and the white neighbor didn't get on. It was anything positive. It wasn't anything positive.
You know, I'm wondering, you know, the Cosby Show, when it came out, was it like one of those? Okay, this actually leads to like what we wanted to talk about was the Sainsbury case, right? But did it have that carry that kind of reaction, that emotion, where people were like, "Whoa, this is like so different. This is like progressive or something."
I don't know. I can't remember. I don't. I don't know. I don't know. You didn't have to watch it, but when you put a Sainsbury's ad on, right? When you put a Sainsbury's ad on, because people like Sainsbury's, right? It's different, and it's shorter, so you don't have to. Cosby's like what is that? 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Long, right? You don't have to watch it, but the Sainsbury's ad is like it's seconds long, right? But I wanted to skip that this time.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next time.
I wanted to talk about the you know, the hidden colors and how important, because you want to let people.
Yeah. It was really, really cool. Yeah.
So remember the 10, 11 things that white people need to know.
Okay. Let's end off on that then.
Yeah.
But just the hidden colors, yeah, it was really, really cool because it just went through like every part of like European culture, and how, you know, it came from, what's it called, like, yeah, it came from Akabulan culture, and how they, if you looked at, it's interesting how they, you know, like in their first hidden colors, they mentioned a lot of, I guess, like they said that if you looked at like the European art from that time period, when a lot of Akabulans were migrating in Africa, or like, you know, being taken as slave, you know, you can see it in the European art, you know, certain even certain nobility, aristocrats were also, you know, had darker skin color, right? Which showed, you know, the presence of, you know, Akabulan people and culture in that society, but never given the representation.
Recognition, right?
Oh yeah, sorry, recognition. Yeah, exactly.
They want you to believe that they are the powerful ones and they've done everything, right? And that's what the problem is that they can walk into a country and feel a way, and that. You know what I mean? And the difference between the Moors that traveled the
right, the Moors, yeah,
traveled the world, is that they didn't go in search of conquer. They went in search to trade, to learn, to give and take, right? That was the difference between them. They went everywhere, but they never put anybody as slaves. They never, you know what I mean? They what they did was take some of the culture or left their culture there. Or live there.
Yeah, you know, even just like when you mentioned the Moors, you know, like I looked that up a bit, and it's just like kind of just like the N word. You know, if the history of the word Moors was kind of just applied like on a like an umbrella term for anyone with darker skin.
In the beginning, it wasn't. It wasn't in the beginning. It wasn't. Yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't. It's not an N word. For me, I don't particularly see it as an N word. For me, a Moor is for me like royalty, right? I never ever looked at it as an N word. I mean, when you look at Shakespeare, because he used Moors, right? And be like, they turned it into something nasty. When I say Moor, I say it in a positive sense, in a positive way.
Also going back to your point of like, you know, like how they never enslaved anyone, or for example, no matter where they went.
No. Akabulans did have their slaves, their own people. They looked in the way they weren't treated the same way as my ancestors were treated. It wasn't like that. It was a different kettle of fish.
Okay. but what the point I wanted to mention was like, you don't hear as often, how Akabulan people explored.
No, you don't hear anything.
You always hear, oh, it's European explorers.
Yeah, you don't hear anything at all.
Right?
For black people, if you don't know, the colors also is for them too, because that's how I've learned through that, and books and a lot of different authors about who we are, because we don't. A lot of us don't know how unique we are, right? I mean, what was I going to say? I was going to say something else regarding. Did you? I don't think it's in this one. It's in the second one about cannibalism.
I didn't.
Was associated Akabulan with cannibalism, and it didn't come from them. It came from Europe. And I was like, because even I believe that myth.
Yeah, this is in the second one, right? Okay. I'll look into that. Yeah, let's end off on what we wanted to talk about regarding the 11 things.
Yeah, when we talk about people who are not black, especially the people not of color. We talk about that.
Pink people? Or people who are not pink?
Yeah. People coming to the table when they're not really invited and they have no knowledge or experience. We talked about it a little bit earlier on.
Are you thinking of watching this documentary, White People?
Why? About what?
Like the article mentions this person, Jose Antonio Vargas.
Yeah. Maybe. Yes, absolutely.
That's interesting.
But themselves in the light that we see them in, because they don't experience themselves.
Yeah.
My
sure. Yeah.
I said to my mom, my partner doesn't like white people. This is why, and I don't get it. And my mom said to me, because she knows who they are, and you don't. I was like, wow. It was like, because I don't like most white people. I'm like, I don't understand it. This is white, mom. I don't get it. I don't get it. Why? And she's like, well, because he knows who they are more than we will ever know. He's been around, listened to it, he knows. I never thought about it like that.
That's interesting.
Why?
I mean, yeah, I guess in the same sense, when I'm in China or with my family, not calling anyone out specifically in case any of my relatives are listening.
You take me home as your wife.
I'm gonna tell you straight up. My family would probably be, against that, or like kind of adverse to that.
They disown you.
I mean, they wouldn't disown me, but they wouldn't be very happy about that. I just know.
How do you feel?
That's it. I mean, I don't like it. No. Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, they're not traditional, but they're just.
Have you had that conversation with them?
I don't think like my mom or my dad. I mean, my mom definitely has some racist tendency. I mean, like, yeah, she definitely has some racism in her. Can I have that talk with her? I mean, I feel like just judging. Have I had that talk? No, but judging based on her.
People won't have a talk. This is the problem. It's okay to talk to us, but talk to the people that are feeling this way about us, and that's where it's right. Not with us, and that's why I said not teaching anybody anything, because what you need to do is talk to the people, and people like you won't talk to people who feel this way. Why? Because you know what the outcome is going to be, right? No matter what it's going to be. And so, people are very quick to come to us and say, "Can you teach it?" and not feel a way about it when you you should know. And you should talk to your parents. Because you're in black culture, you're into the hip hop dance and stuff, and that alone, that there is a marriage to, even though it's not physical. right? It's a marriage to part of our culture that you've done for years. So that's something that maybe you would need to talk to your parents about. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I would, I can bring you home, and my parents won't say anything. I was engaged to a Japanese guy. I took him home. My family stuff like this. And they don't care as long as he's treating me good. That's what it's about. I wasn't raised that way. And we should be the most hated people in the world, and we're not. But everybody hates. We're not this way inclined. It's not in us, right? And why does she hate? Why does it? That's the question. Why does she have feel? Why does she, or members of your family feel this way about black people, black culture? Why? It's good and bad in every creed, and I don't want to say race. I don't want to say something else. Right? It's good and bad. We're not.
Yeah.
What happened to us? How can
Yeah. You make a good point. I mean, as in like maybe you make me think about the fact that I should, even though, like, for example, it doesn't come up in conversation, for example, but it's something that I know it comes up subtly in conversations, and I know it's there, for example, but it's not something that.
Do they know that you're doing this with me? Do they know about this?
Yeah, but they wouldn't watch it. It's like for number one, their English is not good enough, probably.
That's fine, but that's how you can bring it up. What do you think about what I'm doing and so on? That's how you can bring it up. Very easy.
Yeah. My dad thinks it's cool. My dad is like awesome. He respects that. He's like, yeah, you're like.
And say, if you said to him, "But I'm gonna marry her," what would it? That's when you know.
I mean, I've never done that as like an experiment or thought, I've never asked them that to like inquire, but I could do that. I would like to.
I had a co-worker, and the conversation came about dating and so on. And I talked to, she had a daughter, and I said, "What if your daughter brought home a black guy?" And her response to me was, and she felt no way about what she said. I know I'll be. I don't know how I'll be. I'm like, how the hell you can say that in front of me?
Yeah.
I don't know how I'd be if my daughter. I said, what do you mean? Understand? Because to them, we don't count for anything. We don't have feelings. We don't have, how.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I don't know how it would be. What do you mean?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I mean, it was easy. That was easy to come out of your mouth. I don't know how to be. I don't know how to handle it. I don't know.
Yeah, what? Right in front of you?
Yes.
Oh my god.
No held back. No, nothing.
What? That's crazy.
Because I kind of, after that day, I took my step back, because I'm like, well, that's who you really are. And that's what you think about me.
Did you like follow up with it? Like, did you be like, what?
I was young. I wasn't like this. I wasn't.
No. Okay.
I was young, but I kind of like. I mean, I was a little bit. I was very young, but I was still a little bit radical. I remember.
Okay.
I worked at a photography studio. It was actually American photography studio, and one of the telesales manager was downstairs. And she goes, "Oh, look at that colored girl." What colored girl? And she was there. She's walking down the road. I went, "Where?"
Yeah.
And I could see. But I was going, "Where?" And she went, "The colored girl. She's there. She's wearing." I said, "I don't know what a colored girl is." She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "What's a colored girl?" She goes, "The girl there." I went, "What do you mean by colored?" And then she went, "Colored." I went, "Define colored."
Yeah.
I said, "Define the word colored." What do you mean? I said, "Define the word colored." What does it mean? Does it mean one color or many colors? Many colors. So I can't see a woman walking down the road with many colors. Right? And she was like, okay. But she still felt a way about it.
Who was this again? Sorry.
A co-worker.
Okay.
Right, and still felt.
Okay.
Still mumbled. She went, "Oh." I said, "What? What did you say?" She's mumbling to the other girl, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"What did you say?" No, nothing. I just nothing. Because I didn't play with him. right? But I wasn't like this, and if I was, it would be a different kettle of fish, right? But I still had that little spark in me, you know. Because I remember when I was like young, I think I told you this, when I was young, I was like 6 or 7 with my mom on the bus, and my mom was like taking her time to get the change out. Not she, you know, she calculated the bus fare wrong, and she was, you know, taking a little longer than normal. And I remember these white women coming on the bus like complaining about my mom. You should think, and I was young, and I was told to reflect my elders. And I tell you something, I'm the age I am today, and I still remember it because it's through my soul.
Burned. Yeah.
And I wanted to.
What did the woman say?
Just, you know, this country, they can do it. That's what they're like.
Okay.
I had a girl say to me, but she's talking
feeling
about,
entitled.
She was talking about Indians, right, and thinking that.
Yeah.
Right, and for me, you're only talking about Indians because I was there. You probably would include in black people. So they come to our country and take our jobs, and I, excuse me. Tell you about jobs. Let me tell you, they came to the country that you, after the war, you would not do the jobs. So they took the jobs that you wouldn't do. Let's get that straight and correct. Let me correct you on that. Sitting there, no, but that's it. This is what I'm hearing, right? They didn't want to be bus drivers. They didn't want to clean the streets. They didn't want to do this. So Americans and people from the West Indies and Indians came. They were invited, right? The next time I want to play UK Black by Karen Wheeler, right?
What's it called?
UK Black. So our people came by air and sea to earn the money they could keep and fly back home. Sadly,
get it.
We have just been invited to clean up after the war.
Get it.
Leave the show. Just called UK Black.
UK Black? Okay, sick.
Yeah, and it was banned in England. It was banned. It was banned. They banned it. But I bought it.
What's it called? You know, I think this kind of like is a nice segue into the last thing I wanted to bring up, because it's already been 2 hours as well, so I want to keep it respectful of your time.
But you won't listen to me. Go on. Let's do this ending because this is really important. It's really vital for people that come to the table and you're not invited. Here's some rules for you. Take it away.
Okay. Do you? I don't need to share screen.
Yeah, share the
screen share. Oh, you want me to? Okay. Okay.
I want you to mention the person who the author of this. It's really important too.
Okay. So there's this article called that goes through things that white people need to realize about race.
Let's go through them because they're awesome.
Yeah. All right. Number one.
He went on our page. He went on our page and stole everything I said. That's what I know he didn't, but that's what it feels like. It's everything that I've ever said.
Number one, everyone has a race, even you. So,
racism is the fact that white means normal and that anything else different.
Yeah, so that's a common theme that you get from like racism. You're dealing with white being normalized, and people who are of color being termed exotic, and fetishized over,
Yeah, I'm gonna read them because they're there. They can read themselves.
Okay. Yeah. Number two, for white people, talking about race is uncomfortable. For people of color, it's a necessity. Yes, because we have to deal with the shit from racism. So we have to deal with racism. We live it in our lives, and we
experience. What, you're uncomfortable because what? Because of the truth, or what? Well, then be uncomfortable.
Exactly. So like, I guess what I would say is like, if you're a white person and you have a friend, who wants to engage on a discussion about white people and racism, do not shy away from that. Embrace it.
I forgot to say, because whiteness is viewed as the default. Let's do that. Oh, that's really important. White people have the privilege of distancing themselves from the concept of race or denying it altogether. That's really important. I wanted to say that. Sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. It's just, yeah. Where is that? Where do you see that? In this? Okay. Number one? Okay, yeah.
That's what I really wanted to actually highlight.
Right. Yeah, because often you hear a lot of, people say, or white people say, like, they don't see race. But if you didn't see race, you wouldn't treat people.
Third one.
Okay. Yeah. You're not colorblind. Exactly, which is this one. Right? Yeah, you're not colorblind, meaning that, like, you do see race. Exactly, right? So don't say that you don't see race. Number 4, you need to recognize that you benefit from white privilege in order to move the conversation forward. Oh, this one is such a big one. Right. You just hear all the time saying, like, oh, like, that's in the past. That's history. My ancestor did that. I didn't do it.
Off the wealth. You're still living off the wealth. And privilege is not just wealth. It's that you can walk into a job even regardless of your status. We just by our names. Fortunately, I don't have those names, but just by the names of a black person, their application form goes in the bin. Right? In Japan, we have to show our pictures. That we have to show our pictures. I applied for a job online at the university. And we didn't have to put our pictures, but then the university went to LinkedIn. And for me, I felt like I didn't get an interview because they saw I was black. So on LinkedIn, and I get interviews. Yeah, I did it. Yeah. Black privilege is a lot of things. It is a lot of things, and you have to recognize that my ancestors were promised was it 6 acres and a meal? They didn't get any of that, and we had to start from scratch. And every time we started, we keep burning it down, and every time we catch up, and we're always catching up, right? They kept burning it down and taking it away from us. Remember that.
Yeah, I think, like, just the whole, just like that they can't acknowledge that there's this, like, accumulative effect of, the racist structures from the past, and how the consequences are still felt today.
Yeah, we get followed by the police. We get followed in the shops. We get, we sometimes in Japan it does happen to me, right? Where independent, I think it's kind of like right? I don't get welcome or I don't get help like they would help the rush around for white person, right? And like I said in the schools, how I see the reactions, or even my job, sometimes I see the reactions when I'm by a white person towards me, how they are, and they kind of, it's like a worship thing to white people, and white people, they just love it. Not all of them, but a lot of them, they just love being worshipped.
Number 5, Black Lives Matter doesn't suggest that other lives don't. It's about making sure that Black lives do.
Yeah, that's not even.
And I love this tweet. Oh, what the hell? Sorry. Yeah. Stop saying all lives matter. I saw this really good.
This thing again. I don't even think that we need to even explain it because it is what it is, and you know what it is, and you're using that privilege, you're using that nonsense that they do to change things around. It's like with Kaepernick kneeling. It's unprotected. So that's what they do all the time. They find out what we call it a counter.
When you like reverse it,
So they're trying to find something to replace something there's something that make any sense to what we're talking about, right? And that's what they do. That's what they've been doing. They've always
interesting. Right. It's like they substitute the main issue with another issue that doesn't make sense, and then they try to validate that.
Justify the bullshit, yeah. Because they so want to be in control of everything, and that's what that highlights.
Right, they're always defending themselves.
And being
trying to.
Go ahead.
People of color are allowed to be angry about racism. Don't dismiss that anger. Take it in. I feel like the cop needs to understand this. The cop in the Breonna Taylor.
Sorry.
Right?
Yeah.
We are allowed to be angry about racism because we experience it, because we feel it. We have to face it in our everyday lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the thing is, we're angry because of it. And and it's not even about you dismissing it, you using it against our character.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So it's a lot more than that, and I'm sure this is going to be in there.
Exactly. It's like, why are you so angry? Why are you yelling at me?
The chip on your shoulder.
Why are you so emotional?
Well, these are the things that they've always done, they've always said.
Which is, I wanted to recommend you something, but I'll tell you at the end. Number 7. Everyday racism is subtle and insidious. Yes, that's true.
Someone touching your hair?
Yeah, exactly.
Even in Japan, it happens too. And I'm like, and they cause a scene when they do that, because I'm not one of those black girls going to take it. I'm like, don't touch me. Right? I'm not a thing. I'm not an animal.
Yeah.
You ask permission. You shouldn't be asking me to touch my hair. I don't ask you to touch anything, any part of you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you make sure you won't get your fingers back. Do not put your hands in my hair. All right? You don't. You just don't do it.
Yeah. Period. There doesn't need to be much else after that. It's like, you don't go around touching people's hair and head and body parts without asking them.
What about, don't touch, because I'm a woman. You can't touch a woman anyway, right? So why are you touching me? I'm not talking to men. I'm talking to women and men. It's usually women that want to touch our hair, right? I'm talking about people touching you. Then why are you touching our hair? It's the same. It's the same. It's the same thing.
Number 8. Words matter. So before you say anything, this was really interesting, right? Like, think about the words that you're using to describe something, right? Like, in this, they're giving an example of using ghetto, right? Like, do you know where that word comes from? Do you know how it was used or why it was made? Or, like, why people, how people use that word? So a lot of words are trends, and they become trends and fads, and people forget about what they were originally associated with, how they were originally used.
I made all these words, and then what? It's always been the case. They make up all these words and all these different things, and it gets stolen. But that's what we said already. We've been saying that, right? What we do, it gets stolen, and either pretend it's theirs or maybe it turns into something else.
Right. That's I feel like I see that, especially as like like a dancer. I see a lot of that in like the hip hop scene, I guess, in terms of like dance or music.
I saw a hip hop in Japan, and the hip hoppers were white, and I was like, "Are you effing kidding me?" I was like, "Was it what? They were all white boys doing hip hop." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, and like I feel like, the people who are, if you're doing an art form in hip hop, whatever, dance, music, graffiti, DJing, MCing, whatever, and like you're taking this culture, and you're not giving back to it. You're not studying it. You're not talking to people from like Black culture communities. Then like that's appropriation, essentially,
Absolutely.
So for me, as a breaker, it's like if you're doing breaking, you need to read about the history. You need to like learn about history.
Yeah,
that's like almost like a responsibility to learn about
the music, and they both come together.
Exactly.
And rap, or But I'm looking back at old hip hop. I'm not looking at now, because the managers or the owners of this are white men, and so the hip hop isn't it? It was about a community. It was about how we live. It was living. It was life.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
And what they fought was through dancing.
Yeah.
Battles, right? That's how they battle, was through dancing.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you're like a hip hop dance teacher or something, and you should be able to answer questions about like, oh, where does hip hop dance come from?
Well, you teach.
Exactly.
You have to do it. You need to tell them about the history.
Exactly. Well, we're number 9. The conversation about race implicates you, but your voice should not be at the center of it. Absolutely.
Exactly what it. That's it. It's exactly what as Taylor Swift learned from her recent Twitter back and forth with Nicki Minaj when structural inequalities. Again, it's not about. Not.
I think when white people like when they hear, oh, white people they think me, I'm white, I didn't do that.
It's not about you. That's what it is. I was like, what? How he wrote it. It's perfect.
Yeah, I think this also makes me think a lot about like how when you watch like interviews on, news stations, it's always like the interviewer, if they're white, they just they dominate the conversation. They're trying to explain everything, not letting the person speak.
They shouldn't even be there, or just be there and shut them out. Because it's not your experience. I've always said it's not your experience. You're white. You don't know everything, and that's because you don't know everything. That's why we're at the table in the first place, right? You don't know everything. You don't know about my culture. You don't know about our experiences. You know nothing about it because you're white. Don't. You can sit at the table at the edge of it, keep your mouth shut, and have a memo.
It's kind of like, it's kind of like that term mansplaining. When men try to explain everything, I feel like it's the same with like like white people think.
It's different. No, when a white person tries to explain a black person's experience, it's because they're entitled. It's because they. In my head, this is what I'm saying. It feels that because they rule everything. They've talked for a long time that they're dominant. They're dominant over everything, even the way that we think, even the way that we experience things. They think they have a voice in it. And that is crazy. That's crazy to even think that.
Oh, this was awesome. Reverse racism isn't a thing. I watched this. Yeah, it was awesome. You guys need to watch this. It's amazing. Yeah. He explains it so well.
Don't think.
And the last one, number 11. Don't think you know it all, or even most of it. Listen. Which is why I'm doing this podcast, and which is why I'm really grateful Jay's on this.
Can you say the name of the guy that did this?
Actually, they're 2 women. These 2.
No. Go back to the top. They're not trying to go. They're the editors. It's a guy. I think it was a guy that did it. I could be wrong there. My bad.
Yeah, it's these 2 girls did it.
See, and they shouldn't even be writing about it. I'm sorry. I thought it was a black guy. They shouldn't even be writing about it. That's how I feel. They went to a black person.
By Emma Gray and Jessica Samako.
They shouldn't even be writing about it. For real. Yeah, I thought it was a what you said more? What is the more about me?
More? No, these are tags.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't even. I thought it was a name of a black person. Yeah, I thought it was a black guy that did this, but yeah, they shouldn't even been. But I'm sure they got this influence from black people. Yeah, and they need to. What they need to do here. This is the problem. What they need to do is thank the people that helped them with this. Right, this ain't your thing because you ain't black, so you don't know, right? Put it up, but they need to be real about it. That might call, right? This is the problem. is that you have to be part. You have to be in the community of Black people to know these things. So please, where did you get it from? Why we can't do things because this happens all the time. You're the author, really. I'm glad that that's there, I misread it. I'm glad that that's there, that we can see what I'm talking about. This is not your experience, and you didn't get this. This is not. It's a reflection.
That's interesting. Right. Yeah, crediting, where they got this information from.
It really bothers me. It's thievery. It's not. You didn't just come up with it because you're not part of this culture. You should be liking it. You should be Black people that's liking it. And it might sound like I'm ungrateful. It's because we don't trust you. Look what you did. What are you trying to do?
Me? Yeah, but this video, I mean, like, this guy is awesome.
But you know what would be awesome for you to do this with your parents and have them on and have them talking about it, and I'd like to be in it too. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It would just be a really good experience for everyone.
That would be really, really interesting. That would be really interesting. I wouldn't mind doing that actually at all. You would see my mom and what she's like. I don't know if she's like interview material or podcast material. I think once you talk to her, you'll be like, okay, I think it's going to be hard to like have these kind of conversations with her.
Knowing where she got her views from and her ideas. Do you understand? That's
really
where she got the views.
Yeah.
And what would be good is for her to be. I hope she'll be honest and not say no. I don't think that. You know what I mean?
But I'm down. I'm down to actually. I'm like, yeah, it's totally possible for me to ask her, invite her to join. Maybe for the next one actually. I don't know. I don't think she'll be able to stay for like the whole thing. Definitely, because like she's very busy. She's working, doing her own stuff. But yeah, like even just like 10-15 minutes talking with her might be interesting.
Yeah.
I think this is a good.
That's cool. But I'd love to see what your dad. I'd love to see.
My dad? No, my dad can't speak English that well.
At all?
No, not really. Yeah.
So then that's a conversation you should have with him then.
My mom can kind of hold a conversation. She can hold. No, she.
It doesn't matter. I'm not. Don't feel. Don't apologize, because you know what? English is not everybody's language.
Yeah. Okay.
And your own language, right? Right. So,
I'm excited to get your boyfriend.
Huh?
I'm excited to see your boyfriend. Join. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, and he wants to do it when he wants to do it together whilst this
together, right? Yeah.
I know he's really excited. He really wants to come on and talk.
Okay.
On our relationship, and because I tell him that I don't think a lot of Black women in mixed relationships, they don't go to the court like I do. Oh, I'm real for you.
What do you think about getting a white person on podcast? Someone with like some views, their own views of these things, not just anybody, but like someone with like strong opinions about things.
I'm not saying I don't want them on. They might be around. I've been in experiences, a lot of different experiences, and the one that comes to mind is that I was going to do like a research with two white guys, and it was my research. It was my idea, and it felt like they were going to take it and use it. Like they were like telling me about something that I've never done. They got controlling, right? And it's like it's not like a one-off. I've experienced this all my life, right? And I taught happened this year, and I was fuming. I taught a guy, which was stupid me. I'm too giving and trusting. I taught him one of the methods that I do in teaching, and he presented it without even telling me anything about it. Yeah. Oh yeah. And he was like going, because the thing is, what he didn't understand was that other people knew that it was mine.
Okay.
So like.
How did you find out he was using it?
When it was published, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And that was my partner was really angry. And, I had a word with him. I said, you know what? If you had even said something to me about that you were going to do it, I wouldn't have stopped you because fine. But what he did was really destroyed it. And the thing is, it's like a professor that I know, a white guy that created this method, and I'm allowed to use it because I asked him. I didn't just go ahead and do it. I asked him the method and I created it, and so what this guy did was change it to what we didn't want, and it says in the book about not doing it this way. That's what he did. And I mean, in the presentation, he was like, because I was giving him like side eye.
Giving him. Oh, okay.
And he like, and Jennifer, my name was. Everybody was tired of my name, right? And because it's the thievery. That's what happens all the time. And I'm very passionate about what I do, and I make a lot of very easy things, but it's important for teaching the students, right? And thievery is not new to me. It's just I've got loads of stuff stolen from me.
Don't steal. Don't bite. We call it biting in breaking. Biting. Yeah, this is like the sign. Biting. It's like one of the first sins. Do not bite. Thou shalt not bite.
White people do it so casually, like it's nothing. But in music, right? R&B, it's like it's a whole nother conversation.
Oh man, yeah. When it comes to like hip hop music and shit, like it's unreal.
Yeah,
let's leave it for the next conversation, and let's leave it here for now.
Thank you.
Anyways, thank you guys so much.
The virus is on the rise again in Japan, so
yeah, exactly.
And Osaka is catching you up.
Yeah.
Okay, wear your mask. Be safe. Wash your hands. Wear your mask.
Yeah.
Let's
avoid big gatherings.
I don't go to restaurants.
Yeah.
I don't go out. I don't do that until when the virus is gone. That's when I want to start being back to normal.
Let's get that vaccine. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna sign off. Thank you, Jay. Again, thank you as always for being honest, candid, sharing your opinion and experiences.
Call you John.
All right. Peace, guys.
Hey, take care.